Good evening. Gridlock after a huge lorry fire in a tunnel closes the main route in and out of Wales.
These dramatic moments were captured by a Wales Tonight viewer, and this, the aftermath of the inferno, which brought misery for thousands of motorists stuck for hours. We speak to one who helped rescue the driver of the lorry.
It was just an almighty bang, which we assume was the fuel tank. And from that point, we just couldn't see anything in the tunnel. It was just pitch black with smoke bellowing out.
Also tonight, on a visit to Wales, Cameron claims the economy here is on the mend and he's getting people back to work. You've been telling a different story.
Plus care crisis, protests over plans to close homes for people with learning difficulties.
And we've a story which will leave you seeing double.
Yes, we visit Twin Town, where they don't do things by halves.
Hello. Hundreds of drivers remain stuck in huge tailbacks tonight after the M4 was closed in both directions due to a very serious accident earlier today.
A lorry caught fire inside the Brynglas Tunnel this morning, and witnesses reported hearing an explosion. The road was then closed in both directions between junctions 24 and 28, and traffic was diverted onto the A48. But the roads around the city have been struggling to cope with the volume of traffic, causing huge delays all day.
And it could continue into the rest of the week. Our correspondent, Joanna Simpson, joins us live now from Newport. Joanna, what's the situation at the moment?
Well, Jonathan, as you know, it is actually the height of rush hour at the moment, but there are still very few vehicles on the M4 this evening. It has now reopened in both directions because a contraflow has been set up in place. But due to that fire earlier today, the Brynglas Tunnel's westbounds are still closed. Now, there was that very big fire this morning because of a lorry in the tunnels. Actually, many motorists were caught up in this today, including the Welsh rugby team, and I myself got caught up in it a little bit later on. And it actually caused thousands of motorists a lot of misery.
Oh my God.
This is the moment that triggered the travel chaos. Just after 8:30 this morning, a lorry caught fire in the Brynglas tunnels. It was filmed by a passerby. One of the first people on the scene, he even helped the lorry driver escape.
Hoping that no one would follow me, I accelerated rapidly up to him and stopped next to the lorry, where at that point I could see the front driver's side tyre ablaze fairly rapidly. I opened the passenger door and beeped and shouted to the guy, "Get in quick," which luckily he did. And I sort of drove off before he had time to shut the door. And just as we drove off and just as we left the opening of the tunnel, there was a loud explosion. I assume that was the tyre. And then we parked up. I dropped him off outside the entrance, and we sort of parked up to take in what's happening. And then there was just an almighty bang, and from that point we just couldn't see anything in the tunnel. It was just pitch black with smoke bellowing out.
These images show the extent of the damage inside the tunnel. Emergency services had been at the scene all day, and investigators say the tunnel will stay closed while the situation is assessed.
This now is, from a fire service perspective, is under control and closed. We're now working with our partner agencies, police and other agencies, to try and get the traffic flow re-established on the M4 section of the motorway.
The fire led to the closure of the M4 in both directions, from junction 24 the Caldra to junction 28 Tredegar Park. Diversions quickly became blocked, with thousands of vehicles trying to find alternative routes. The main roads around Cardiff were some of the worst affected. Most places were at a standstill. It was a similar story in Newport. It's just coming up to 4 o'clock, and after 7 hours of closures, the eastbound carriageway of the M4 is just starting to reopen. All the surrounding routes are still snarled up, and a journey which would normally take 20 minutes today took me 2.5 hours. Today, though, that experience is not unusual. The fire is not thought to be suspicious, but these scenes set in place a chain of events that continue to have an impact this evening. Now, of course, there was some confusion earlier today about exactly what those explosions were, whether it may be something to do with something that was on board the lorry, perhaps chemicals or something like that. But I have been assured tonight that it was just tyres exploding and nothing more. Now, the person that actually took that dramatic footage, the passerby, Ashley Hall, joins me now. Ashley, when did you first notice that something was wrong?
On my daily commute this morning and approaching the tunnel, traffic just came to a dramatic stop. And up ahead we could see some sort of disturbance. Everyone moved into the right-hand fast lane, and from the beginning of the tunnel there were black skid marks all the way up to whatever we could see.
And I understand that you actually helped the lorry driver. What did you do there?
Yeah, well, there was clearly a fire as we got further into the tunnel, and I decided to stop and sort of not let anyone else drive further in. So I put the hazards on, put the handbrake on, and then noticed the driver, who we thought had cleared off and gone and got to safety. So I put the car into first and accelerated towards him and put the door open and said, "Get in." And fortunately he did, and we zoomed out of the tunnel and parked just outside on the other side. And just as we pulled off, there was a loud explosion, which we assume was the first tyre. I then parked up and started videoing, because we didn't know what might happen next. And there was a massive explosion, which we thought might be a fuel tank or something like that.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and thank you for the footage as well. Now, we have been assured that actually inside the lorry it was just steel, but it does appear that the Brynglas tunnels may now be closed for the next few days.
Joanna Simpson in Newport with those updates.